Hey there, this is Debesh, the info security researcher. Today, Saturday, I am again here on LinkedIn and YouTube, live streaming another podcast episode, a tech podcast. And in the podcast flyer, you have seen the title and also the name of the guest. So, let us bring the guest on the screen. Okay, Masib, welcome to the podcast window, Saswatee.
Hello, how are you doing?
Fine. So I am so grateful to you because you have agreed to expose yourself live. And this is a tech podcast. Your topic you have given optics, photonics, and my story means your story. And so we can start it. But we have also written that OSI members speak. That is because we both are member of the Optical Society of India or OSI. So this is probably the first episode where I am chatting with one member of the Optical Society of India. Okay, without much ado, I request you to tell the first question that is very common for all podcasters. Who you are and what you do. You can tell yourself from your mouth what you do.
Hello, everybody, and good afternoon, good evening. I hope you're doing very well. And I'm very happy and honored to be able to talk about my story and the things that I'm passionate about. So, I did make a couple of slides just to show some, visuals in
No,
front
before
of
that,
us.
no, just a minute. Before that, will you please tell, means from your own mouth? I have seen in LinkedIn you have written what you are, like your research scientist and other things. So, in a line, can you say who you are and what you do?
Okay, my name is Saswatee. I'm Saswatee Banerjee, and I am an optics and photonics professional. So I work in optics, optical design and simulation of different devices, different systems, optical systems. That's basically in one line. That's who I am,
Yes,
and a little bit more details are in the slides so that
yes,
we can
yes, yes, yes.
discuss
So,
more.
before you go to the slide, can you just tell us briefly about your academic background?
Yes, I actually, I originally I'm from Kolkata, so I went to Calcutta University. I finished my master's. That is, at that time, it was called Master MSc Tech, basically in applied physics, with specialization in optics and optoelectronics. So I did that, and then I went into the PhD program. That is, I did the gate. I took gate basically. At that time, you could take a gate to get the scholarship.
GATE means because other people may not know, the people who are not in India, graduate aptitude test in engineering. Do you mean that?
Right,
Yes.
right. And so at that time, so you could get to the fellowship. That is, I think, UGC fellowship. What I got ultimately is UGC fellowship, basically, as a result of my GET score. And then I joined the PhD program. I joined Professor Hazra's lab. And then again, we were working on macro optics, that is lens design, because his field is more lens design. So we did that, and then around 2001 when
Just little bit.
Yeah.
How do you come to optics? Is it a by choice? Say after your doing the undergraduate course, BSc.
Well,
So yes,
yeah, that's also an interesting point actually. So when I graduated from St. Xavier's College and in BSc Physics honors
oh, that
basically.
is a good college, quite famous in
And
Kolkata. Yes.
thank you. So after that, I personally wanted to go for pure physics, that is theoretical physics, etc., because I wanted to do some, I mean, scientific things basically. However, in my family, I mean, especially my aunt, I mean, who herself she did, pure mathematics, so she actually discouraged me from pure physics, etc. And she definitely said that it is important that you go for, maybe you are not that smart, so you should go for applied, more like, I mean, something that has more applications. So then I remember I have a cousin, and he was associated with the Department of Chemical Engineering. So when I was thinking of entering the science college, basically, so I went with him and met his friend who was working for Department of Computer Engineering and or computer technology, whatever they call it. And then I talked, etc. But to me, it was not very interesting. Then this applied physics. Then I
So
somehow
Anna, you mean that computer was not interesting for you
at that point,
at
no,
that?
it was
Yes,
not
yes.
at all interesting to me. I mean, computer, just I mean, okay, I use a lot of computers, but still it is just a tool for me. It's not really, I mean, I don't care about the computer hardware, etc. Or
Or the theoretical computer science.
yeah, I'm not so interested in that. I realized that. And then, but then I somehow found out this light. I mean, the science, I mean, optics, because I did not know before. And I think I met ABR, or I think
Professor
ABR,
Amitabh Basu Roy.
yeah, Professor Amitav Bushurai. I met him and I had some discussions, etc. And then I somehow thought that, oh, this is quite interesting. I mean, before that, I did not even understand that optics could be a specialization, or it's a special stream that you can really take as your career choice. So, but then when I had a discussion, and then slowly I realized that I like this fact that this visual side of it that you can see, and the light itself, and it was kind of appealing to me. So that's really settled me, because I decided that, okay, I'm going to pursue this career here. That was my master's. So when I actually finished my master's, as I said, that I actually had my GATE score, etc. After that, in fact, for PhD, I did. I think there were two. I mean, invitations for. I mean, from Applied Optics in IIT Delhi and also IISc, but I decided not to go because I was kind of, I mean, because their programs were a little bit different. And what I did for from my master's, actually at the end, we had some project, we had to do some project. And I started doing a little bit with Professor Hazra, and he had this in this lens design. What I realized that they were, I mean, the design problem is basically this optimization, and you play with optimization, you do uh, yeah, that the computer algorithm part that really worked with me. I really loved that, the opportunity to play with those algorithms basically. So I thought, I want to do this, I want to work in this field. That was basically my decision at that point.
For doctoral research.
Yes, for doctoral research. So then I went into that. I mean, I joined this, I think it was 1995 or something. So when I finally, I think I got the fellowship, and then I started working on this thing. So, yes, that's how I started doing this.
Oh, that is the story. I just want that people should know, because how spontaneously the choices and the other things change, or uh, it takes a different way, and finally it is we find that it is a better way. So after the doctoral research in Calcutta in optical lens design, so when you applied for, say, another, say, maybe postdoctoral or other research fellowship, so as I remember, you went to Japan on a Japanese government scholarship. So how you have decided, I mean, which actually made you pursue for another doctoral research?
Well, when I went to Japan, I had no intention. I did not think that I would be doing any doctoral research. However, what it was actually, again, there was this advertisement I saw at that time. There was this newspaper called Employment News.
Yes,
So
yes.
there was this little advertisement about this MHRD and the Japanese Monbuka Kusho. They have this scholarship program.
Exchange program
So
or whatever.
yeah, yeah. So this is a government, I mean, scholarship program. So I thought, and I think maybe you remember that Professor Ajoy Ghosh, he went to Japan and
Yes.
he used to talk a lot about Japan,
Yes,
actually.
yes, yes.
So, in any case, I mean, actually, he's the person who first talked about Japan so much.
Motivated.
You kind of motivated. And then I saw this advertisement in the newspaper, and then I thought, okay, let's try something like that. So I just applied. Actually, I wrote up a little project and I just applied. So then there was some reply came, and that time I talked to Professor Hazra. I went to him and I said that I got this, and he said, then in at this moment you definitely need to find someone in Japan who would be willing to host you. Okay, then I realized, then I went on doing the literature search and all that. I mean, who might be a person who might be willing to host me and I would be interested in their project. So I found out some people in design simulations, etc., optical design. So I think it was maybe two or three people. I found out, maybe about three people maybe. And someone said, no, I retired, I would love to do this, but I retired, something like that. So, and then one person, this Professor Yatagai, he replied, and he had a very warm response actually. And then Professor Hazra, when I showed it to him, he said, yeah, this is a very good response. You should really take it seriously. And he proposed, I mean, Professor Yadagai proposed that, yes, I am thinking of doing some subwavelength optics, etc. So I would be interested, I mean, if you are interested in working in this. And this is where Professor Hazra also said that, yes, diffractive optics, it's a very good field. It will be a good field. So why don't you try? So then, of course, so then I moved to the to the interview and went to Delhi, and all these little things happened. And then finally it came through, basically. And when I went to Japan, yes, it was not like I would do doctoral research or this, that. Actually, Monbu Kakakusho is kind of open. It's not like in its scope. It's not like it has to be PhD or it has to be postdoc, none of this. However, it depends on your host and your understanding and all things. When I initially I thought, because when I went to Japan, you see, one of the problem is the language. I mean, I did not know any Japanese at that time. So if you don't know the language, it's very difficult. So it was really difficult. And I did not think that I would be staying there uh, more than 1 year or so. Because, in fact, when I went there, I had two little suitcases. I did not open one of the suitcases for first 1 year. Because I just didn't think that I can.
You'll come back. Come back.
Yeah, I will come back. That was my. I mean, thinking at that time. So then, I mean, after some time, I think Professor Yadagai was encouraging me very much. In fact, I mean, I told him that I don't really care about learning Japanese so much. He actually pushed me to to go through the Japanese course and take it seriously. He said, "Yes, at the university you don't need Japanese, but to have a proper life here, you do need Japanese." And this is something, I mean, looking back, I totally, how can I say, I'm very grateful that he said that, and he actually pushed me to do that, the course, because it proved to be very useful. And today, I actually am very proud that I know this language, I learned this language, but at that time, it looked like it is an unsurmountable problem, basically. So I won't be able to do anything. But in any case, it took a lot of effort and hard work, but I managed to learn the language. And but then when I, in fact, there are a couple of things. When I worked in a scuba university at that time, in fact, there were a couple of these industrial university industry projects actually. So I got involved in some of those projects, and I thought that that was very good because it's not just about doing just studying and doing some maybe some algorithm or doing getting some papers. It's not just that. Applied physics, I mean, the reason I cared about applied physics is, okay, I have some knowledge and I can use it. When I saw that, I mean, I never thought that I'm an industry person, but in Japan, actually, that university industry collaboration, I thought it was a very good thing because that showed me the application of the things that I was doing. Again, I mean, give you one little example. In fact, when I was in St. Xavier's, we had a professor, and he was teaching us electromagnetic theory. Fine. And every day when he came to class, he wrote this boundary value problem, and you solve boundary, which is great. Problem is, I never felt at all motivated or interested in boundary value problems because I did not understand where the application is. But later on, in Japan, when I did see that what these boundary value problems can give you, I mean,
Yes.
at that time, I never thought that electromagnetic theory would be my bread and butter one day. But when I saw that what it could do really, then I felt really motivated. I thought, yes, it is a good thing to do. Now, this is where I think the power of computers or the scientific computing, this part comes in, because without the computers, you won't, I mean, you will be just stuck with those boundary value problems, but you won't be able to really take it and, extend it to bigger problems, more complex problems, basically. So this is where, I mean, the power of computing really helped the discipline. And so at some point of time, so it was not so difficult to finally decide that, okay, let's go for this doctoral program, because I wanted to continue doing what I was doing. And I told Professor Yadagai that maybe, the Nushi, that is the entrance test, might be very difficult because it's in Japanese. I won't be able to do it. But actually, he told me, no, it's not a problem. You will pass. And actually, when I took it, it was not in Japanese, it was in English.
English. Yes.
I passed it. I mean, apparently, according to Professor Yatagai, I got 100% perfect score. So, no problem. But so, yeah, but I enjoyed, really, it was a very different approach from what we see in India. We did not really see the whole collaboration between the university and industry so much, but in Japan at that time it was very good. I love that.
Okay. Just before we continue, let us see some comments and questions are coming. Maybe an encouragement. So first one is from Konik Palodhi from Kolkata. He has written in Bengali, Opekha Korchi means waiting. Okay, thanks, Konik. And then another comment, uh, Geeta Bhuktani. She is from probably New York. I know her from our earlier podcasts. So you can see the question. You just told about boundary value problem. So how would you write a prompt that included the concept of boundary value to speak to agentic AI? Baapre, it is so mixed up with AI. It's okay. And she is not actually working, but she is asking a very interesting question. Mm. So can you comment anything about it?
Okay, what I can tell you, I'm not sure about this agentic AI. I don't know, but the
Yes, I
point is,
also not.
yeah, but the AI is, I mean, for example, Chat GPT or Gemini or things like that. What I understand is these are the natural language processing algorithms basically. So what you really do is you have to speak in some kind of, I mean, natural language basically. However, I'm not sure what you are trying to get out of AI. Depending on, I mean, what your question is, you need to pose the question. And also another, I mean, this is kind of a warning maybe you should be aware of when you are dealing with AIs, because AI can actually pull out some fake information. So that is very important to understand the what its source is, which source is referring to. So, and you yourself, you need to go into the source and to figure out exactly what your question is and what the answer is, and if the answer is really right or wrong. However, AI is a very important tool. As an assistant is great, and it can really perform very deep search, good search, no doubt, strong search, no doubt. But you have to, when you engage with the AI, you need to be careful. Basically, you need to always verify what is it.
Okay. So thank you, Gita, for asking a very interesting and intriguing question. I mean, yes, Saswatee has given a very nice answer. I must appreciate. And let us see the next comment before going to the yes. You see it. So James Cole asks, can computer simulations handle irregular fractal boundaries? At least approximately. Maybe a very academic question.
No, he knows far better than I do about this answer, basically. So I personally think yes, it can, at least approximately, but how correct it will be, how I mean, accurate it is, I don't know. I did not do it, so I'm not 100% sure, because it depends. I mean, I think James knows, I mean, he's an expert in this field himself. So actually, one of the things, I mean, we did not even go into the simulation part yet, but the one of the thing is this object representation in these kind of methods is very important, how you present the object on, because you see, one, the reason I said this scientific computing, because you are harnessing the power of computers, because you are using numerical methods. So for these numerical methods, how you represent the object is a lot of trouble actually. It depends on the material, it depends on how this structure is, how the boundaries are. So it depends on a lot of things. So the accuracy accordingly, it can vary a lot, and it can make computations, it can make it very intensive, very computationally intensive basically. But I don't have a direct experience in handling the fractal boundaries. I think James himself can say something about it.
Thanks, James. And probably you are doing this research in the background. So we hope that you will find out a solution and you will publish about this. Thanks. So we go to the next comment before starting that presentation. Yes, Professor Konik Paludhi from University of Calcutta. Can you read it? The
Hmm.
comment? Yes. Agentic AI is supposed to take autonomous decision.
Hmm.
Maybe she is asking if lens design systems can be automatically designed. Now,
Well,
but of course, Geeta is not from lens design. She is an expert in UX design.
okay.
Okay. So please go ahead with this.
Yes, true. Okay, the thing is, there is this concept of automating these things. To some extent, you can automate some of these things. But what my understanding is, um, say, for example, if you are really doing one thing that you know the results very well, then you might be able to tell it to. Okay, another little important point about AI is as good as its learning algorithm, basically. So whoever taught this AI and whatever they taught it, up to that it knows. And then the information changes or new scientific information comes in, they're not really updating themselves. So that's one thing. Another thing is, this is a statistical prediction. So yes, based on a lot of data, it can happen. A couple of things that it can do. For example, a full, say, FDTD simulation. That takes a lot of time. It depends on, say, for example, a 3D structure, a very complex structure. When you are trying to do this, it is a cost. I mean, it's really intense calculation and it can be very costly, actually. So one of the ways of doing this is, there are this multi-physics approach, various approach. The thing is, you teach the system with so many, I mean, data sets and all that, so that it can make a good prediction about the result. However, it will still not be perfectly correct. But yes, in some cases, it can be quite useful. So, but I won't say that this is a 100% perfect result. But if you have to do, how can I say, if you have to constantly churn out data, then it can be handy tool, basically.
So it is to be used very cautiously if somebody wants to
Definitely.
use AI for particular application. Okay, there is another interesting comment by Geeta. So for your information, optics, photonics, and agentic AI are interconnected fields where optics and photonics provide the hardware infrastructure and agentic AI leverages this infrastructure for intelligent decision making and automated actions. Thank you, Geeta, for this comment. Do you want to say anything, Shashwati?
Yes, but this agentic AI is designed by whom?
Maybe
That
some
would be,
company.
yeah, of course, a company. But I mean, what they're leveraging, what
The
kind of
special
information.
applications they focus. Yes.
Yes, what kind of applications they are focusing. It could be that it is specially focused on, say, a lens design, or it is specially focused on maybe macro optics or micro optics or whatever. So I would like to know that where it is focused, because I'm not sure that it can, if it is, I mean, how broad the field of application would be. That's one thing I'm not sure about at this point. But I think this is a good point to know, and maybe it is a good point to dive into and see that what it can do, really.
So thank you very much, Geeta, for putting some interesting and motivating points for optics and photonics for using agentic AI or specifically other AI applications also. Okay, and let us move to the, okay, Geeta. mentions another one before that. It's an acha, agentic AI. It is an paradigm in okay. Okay, this is an example. Okay, thank you, Geeta, very much. And shall we go for the next part of the podcast? So you have told that what motivated you for pursuing another doctoral research in Japan under the Japanese government scholarship program, and you have learned Japanese, intensive Japanese there.
Mm.
Yes, I
Yes.
remember I also studied, and there was a flexibility, but because I went on leave from a job, my professor suggested, no, 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 you go back and take the job. I also wanted to quit and do another research because it was so interesting. Okay, after your completion of that doctoral research in Japan, as I also saw in your biodata that you worked in industries in Japan. So can you just briefly tell about that? What are those, and how? What are the experiences of applying your learning um, things which you got into the during the doctoral studies?
Well, I mean, the my first uh, position, actually, I joined Sumitomo Chemical, and it is the material company basically. So they deal with materials mostly. However, they also had one division that worked with liquid crystal displays. So actually, in case of displays, I mean, Japan used to be a leader in actually display industry. And in fact, I mean, if you remember, Sharp was one of the companies. Sharp was the first company
The
that
first
showed,
laptop.
yeah, the liquid crystal display, basically. So the point is, so they had a good, I mean, liquid crystal display division. So I joined there, and in fact, as you know, that this monitor, for example, this monitor that we are looking into, it has actually, if you open it, you will see there are multiple components, optical components here. So you have to, there's a lot of optical design that goes into this, because all these different components that we have, and because it is using the liquid crystal, so the they have this chiral state, and basically it does the switch the chiral state, so you need to care about the polarization. So that's where, I mean, it has a light guide actually in the back. So initially we were working with the light guide, and how you uh, one of the challenges here is how you make the illumination uniform on this
Light
screen.
guide means wave guide.
Well, in case of these micro displays, etc., you call it waveguide, but in liquid crystal, in that context, you call it more like light guide. Yes,
Okay.
it does guide your the light. Basically, it confine the light, and then how, because you do have to, guide it, but at the same time, it has to come out at every point, basically. So there is a balance, I mean, how you get it out of the guide, in fact. So for that, I mean, we had various ways, for example, some grating, some this and that on top of it, so you can get the light out efficiently. And also, because the polarized light is very important there, so how you control the polarization of light, that is important. That is an important point, basically. So that's where we did concentrate. We focused a lot on that in that kind of situation, basically. And then from there, I worked briefly for Apple, where this is, but this is a very short description because there's plenty of other things that went in. For example, also in Sumitomo, we did some polymer LED or solar cells, etc. Because, and you can use the nanoparticles to influence. It's quantum yield, basically. So when it is emitting, there is the emission. You can measure the emission in terms of males. So you can influence those things, or the absorption you can influence. So we did some stuff on that because with the nano plasmonics, basically the plasmonic modes, how they affect those emission or the quantum yield, etc. And then that took me to this organic LED, basically. So there are displays now. You have these passive displays where, as we were discussing about the light guide, that's one thing, but there is another. In that situation, in the light guide, you do use those color filters, etc., to have the colored display. However, there is another way of doing this, and that will make it even, I mean, thinner and more like flexible display, variable display, etc., which is if you do this OLED, that is the organic LED, etc., pixels. So, so I did some work with this OLEDs, and then what happens is one of the facts that came out is each of the pixels, because you want to go for high resolution, meaning you are going for small pixel size. So that means it is coming to the wavelength scale optics, basically. So that's where your diffraction scattering effects are become very important. So that's where you do need to use the numerical methods, and this FDTD. FDTD is not the only solution of macro.
Okay, FDTD, just specify because some people may not know it. It is finite domain time difference method.
Finite difference time.
Finite difference time domain method. Okay, so that is mostly used in applications of electromagnetic theory for different waves, approximated calculations, isn't it?
Okay, the thing is, this is okay. The basic of, I mean, when you are dealing with wavelength scale, I mean, photonics or optical structures, etc., you are going to see some effects due to polarization, etc. So it depends on what kind of optics. I mean, the size of optics compared to the wavelength of light, basically, it guides the principles that you use. So in case of macro optics, of course, the size of optics is much bigger than the wavelength of light. So there you can use geometrical optics and you use ray tracing. That's a major thing there. However, when you are dealing with this wavelength scale optics, that is maybe you are working in the Mie scattering, Mie regime, etc. So then it is very important that you do solve the full form of Maxwell's equations. In some cases, you can only do the wavelet, I mean, just the wave equation and be done with that. But in these kind of cases, because of the structural complexities, you don't have the symmetry. So you really need to do the full form of Maxwell's equations. When you do that, this is where the discussion about boundary value problems. Now, boundary originally Maxwell's equations could be solved analytically, could be solved in some cases, some handful of cases where you can use the structural symmetry and you can use solve it. Very good. However, when you are dealing with these complex structures and with multiple medium and all that, because normally what happens is these pixels has multiple layers with different materials, etc. So then it's impossible to solve Maxwell's equations. I mean, analytically, there's no question. You cannot do that. So you need to do some numerical methods, basically. That's where this finite difference time domain method comes in. However, again, FDTD is not the only solution available. There are multiple solutions, many different methods that are used, but FDTD is now becoming more like industry standard,
Yes.
basically,
Yes.
for various reasons.
Okay. So before going to the next point, I'll just see another comment by about the AI. James commented, I used mathematical AI It gave some answer, but not the right one. But I could manually modify to get a good answer.
Right. That's a very good approach. That's the point. So you yourself need to know what you are doing. You need to be the expert. You cannot be blind, and you cannot just I have seen this with commercial software. So this FDTD that we are talking about, you see there are some commercial softwares and people like to click. Problem is, clicking doesn't mean that it is giving you the result that should be, I mean, the correct answer. This is one of the problem with using the commercial softwares and not getting into the details, basically. And this is similar with AI, because AI gives you some answers and there is a tendency that you just accept that without even verifying anything. So yeah, that's the point.
Yes, I remember in this connection that there are so many people, they are doing research studies in microwave field, microwave in India. I have seen, but they are using all commercial software, which are basically using FDTD, but they don't know about even electromagnetic theory. So they are just doing it. They complete their PhD. But when we ask that you teach electromagnetic theory, EM theory to the students, they never take that option because they don't know electromagnetic theory. They don't know Schrodinger equation and wave equation, any other things. So this is the case. Like commercial softwares are so interestingly give say some input and output and creating some data and plots, but not actually usable.
Yeah, this is one of the problems, because I have seen this. I mean, people have this. I mean, they just click, and that's great. But then, you have to be careful what you are clicking on.
And that time I was interacting with an ex-professor of Jadavpur University, whose students are professor in different well-known universities in around Kolkata, but nobody knew about how to do it. They have project, they purchase it, and if they get problem, they come to the teacher, that old teacher back, sir, please explain what is there. So again, it is a interesting thing because there are shortcomings of incomplete knowledge. So it is good that you went to Japan and you completed your like studies thoroughly on electromagnetic theory. That is a great thing. I appreciate, and it is helping you, and it will continue to help you. Okay, so the next point we are interested to know that uh, after this work of say these industries in Japan, where have you been working afterwards? You told of course about that commercial companies, of course, related to optics and photonics. No, the interesting question is that what this Apple and Meta, Facebook, they use optics in their gaming devices.
Yes, they do, because they are interested in displays, basically. So I don't want to get into too many details because that's a bad thing. But the point is, yes, they're in general, they're interested in displays. So yes, nowadays it's not just, I mean, not just one or the other, but many companies. Actually, this is a good point to mention, that optics and photonics is becoming an important field. And even in non-traditional, I mean, it's not like, okay, optical companies, before it used to be, okay, say, say Canon, okay, they are optical company, we know that they do camera. But now it's companies that are not even really traditionally into optics business, they are also doing optics and photonics. And that's a very good thing, because they understand the need for optics and photonics. I can tell you this, I mean, I worked for this CMOS image sensor, basically pixel design, etc. And they definitely, before I joined, in fact, they were more focused on this electronic side. Of course, electronic side is very important for them. and it was all working for them. But then slowly they understood that
Yes,
optic side is very important. Without the optic side, it cannot be done. So then, I mean, actually, I set up all the optics. I mean, design, simulations, modeling part, etc. So yes, that's very interesting. I mean, to note that actually the scope of optics and photonics is increasing.
it is widening in
Mm.
practical applications
Yes,
which
yes,
are being sold commercially,
yes,
viable
yes,
viable business. Yes, so and I have seen your photographs and other things in LinkedIn about Toastmasters activities and many other things. Okay, would you like to show us something on using your presentation? Shall
yes.
we
I
see that?
mean,
Yes, yes.
yeah, okay. I was just, which one you want to go into the Toastmasters, or you want to do a little bit more technical
No,
talk?
you just give glimpses about, say, short about one or two optics applications, and then the
Then we
Toastmaster.
go to, okay, fine.
Okay, let me mark that. Yes,
Yes.
and
So can you see my screen?
yes, we can see the screen. You can make it full screen, and
Okay, let me do that. Let me go to the. Hmm. Okay, maybe I do this. So, okay, I just wanted to say that I'm right now. I'm sitting in Cork in Ireland, basically. I don't know. Can you see my screen?
yes,
Basically,
we can see your screen, and it is not full screen. You can make it a slideshow if you want,
I this is I think in
or
the
if it
slide.
is convenient, you can show that
It
way.
is
Whichever you.
slideshow mode.
No, you have not clicked the slideshow,
It is okay on my screen. It is okay.
is it?
Let's see. On my screen, it was actually. Let's see from beginning. What do you see?
No, it is not showing a full screen.
It's not okay. That's odd.
Ah, yes, it is odd. It is the interface of Restream.
Can you
Maybe
see?
it is not showing the full screen.
Oh, okay.
It is showing the all the side panel and
No,
top.
that's very
Okay,
odd.
okay. Then you can just unshare the screen and make it. No, with full screen you cannot see the. Uh,
1 second, please. I can do this. I can. Mm,
no, top things you cannot. Slideshow it should update. Why it is not updating?
I don't know. From current slide, let's see if it does. Can you see anything?
No, it is not changing anything.
Oh, okay. So I'm not sure why this is. I can start try
Yes.
sharing again. Or
Okay. Okay. Yes. Yes.
oh, you are in the show. Stop sharing, and maybe let's try share again. No. Does it do it? No.
Now you try to make it start the slideshow.
I did. On my screen it does, but it's not doing it here.
Then it is a interface problem with Restream. And are
Some
you using some? It is their issue actually. Restream that. Okay, you can.
One second, please. At least I can make it bigger.
Hmm.
At least I can do that. Don't know. See,
Yes,
it is
yes, yes,
becoming bigger. No.
yes, yes.
Okay, that's good. Okay, so what I was trying to say is a couple of small things about the place I'm sitting in at this moment. So I'm in Cork.
Okay,
So it is in Ireland, basically. So you can
okay.
see the map of Ireland. So
Yes.
it is basically you see, this is an island.
Oh,
So yes, and then it has two parts. Of course, there is Northern Ireland and Irish Republic.
okay,
So this part is actually Irish Republic. So we are
okay,
part of Irish Republic,
okay,
and Cork is almost the southern part or southern tip of Ireland.
okay,
Now it is about 51.9 degree north. So you can see that this is pretty. At this moment, it is 7:30, close to here evening, in the evening, but it's still a lot of daylight, of course.
okay.
So that's the good thing about summer, but winter is, of course, different. Now there is another interesting thing. Ireland, yes, English speaking country, but they also have this, ancient language, which is actually called Gaelga
Ah,
or Gaelic. So in their ancient language, originally Cork is not called Cork, but Corkay. So this Corkay, you can see the Corcaigh, means marsh or lowland. In fact, even now, when there is a river that goes through the city, and this river is called the what is I forgot the name. So this when it floods, actually the whole city actually floods. So and in fact, Ireland, most of Ireland used to be bog, basically. So this Killarney, this is actually close to Cork, and this is a beautiful place. So, but here you can hike through the bogs, basically. So that's one of the geological features of Ireland. This is just fun facts of this place. So then I just wanted to, as I was discussing, I think we already discussed these things, and some of these Japanese, I kept the Japanese because I learned Japanese. I
so
like.
how many kanji characters do you recognize? 3,000, 4,000?
No, I don't think that many, but I can, if it is in my technical field, yes, most of it I can read, basically, read and write. So but nowadays it's not so difficult because I'm not writing by hand. I am basically doing
Computer,
it
yes. You can
with
see the meaning of different kanjis. Yes.
exactly. I understand. I mean, if you can read and if you can recognize the kanjis, then it's not that difficult, actually. So but it takes a little bit of training, of course. So this is, and on the right hand side, as we were discussing, this is organic LED pixel, basically. So you can see that this here, actually the pixel is not a straight pixel and not a simple pixel. This was a kind of novel idea pixel. So when it becomes this way, you do need to have this kind of numerical method, basically. So this was my own, FDTD program. I did this OLED with my own programs, etc. So I just wanted to show you a little bit.
So which
So
language you ran your program? I mean, mostly you do your
I
computation.
do okay. I mean, initially we did a long time. We used this MathCAD for a long time. However, MathCAD is not very good when you go to these kind of complex things. So then I did Fortran. I mean, Fortran, parallel Fortran for a long time, Fortran 90, etc. So then after that, now we do this Python a lot, and also MATLAB, which is also an industry standard, basically, right now.
Okay.
So all this combination of things.
Okay.
And then if we go for so this is just an idea about what we were doing this in this lens design, etc. Now, the problem is I have a little, or maybe it might work. So this is about what I was trying to say here, that how these optimization algorithms really work. So this is one thing we did, and this is a triplet lens. And the I mean, what Professor Hauser was trying to do is he has some work in, I mean, how to choose, the starting points in a lens design, a complex lens, multi-component lens design, how you can choose the starting points. And I thought that was kind of clever, actually. So what you can do is you can use the optimization methods to come up with some starting points that will satisfy the Gaussian optics or paraxial optics conditions, basically. So what I was trying to show here, because this is a genetic algorithm, so it was, I mean, at that time, there was a lot of work on genetic algorithm, and it was it was not it was not still to be adopted in, optics, that kind of thing. So when we did this, and what you can see here, that how the solutions, uh, you see, it will ultimately come to one single solution because this is a global optimization algorithm. However, you can see there are a couple of solutions. It's not just one solution. If you are clever, you can actually get multiple solutions from this, which will perform kind of okay. And this is something very important because, you know, it's not that you just seek the best solution, you also seek different types of solutions which might be kind of similar in performance, or there are different other criteria which you need to uh, consider in the final design. So we were trying to use, I mean, yes, we were using global optimization, but we were trying to get more than one solution, basically. So we were a little bit, successful in doing that. So that took some strategy. So then, as I said, when I went to Japan, yeah, then this wavelength scale optics, etc., we started working with that. And then there's this fdtd we did. And here, this is just a simple, this is so-called standard fdtd. What I'm trying to say here is basically, you see, these are the Maxwell's equations. Normally these are the Maxwell's equations which are used, which are solved in finite difference time domains. So what is happening here, for example, I have a structure like this. Now, you see here, you have a light is propagating here, and you have the light source inside the structure. So what is going to happen, you would like to see how light propagates through this thing. Now, whether it is working. Yeah, okay. So how the light is propagating. So there is no way to do it analytically. So you have to do it numerically. The good point about doing it with FDTD, as you can see, it is showing the real-time propagation of the field, basically. And in this case, given that it has this, the grating on its surface, so that means it will be affected, the polarization, but you need to consider the polarization property of light. So depending on which polarization it is in, which polarization state, so that will affect its behavior, basically. So this is one of the, this is simple, but this is an example why you do this FGTD, basically. And so one thing to remember here is the reason it is complicated and the reason you do FGTD is because it's a robust algorithm. What happens is, when it starts doing this time marching, the wave, it actually automatically goes on implementing the electromagnetic boundary conditions between the two materials. Now, this is a complex topic. And say, for example, if you're using a frequency domain method, it becomes very complex, how you really implement the boundary condition. And this is why FGTD is a versatile technique, basically. This is why FGTD is used. It became an industry standard nowadays. So then I think one of the things this is where I think James is an expert, and he's the one who actually invented. I mean, he's not alone maybe, but he's a big pioneer of this non-standard version of FDTD. So another day he can talk about it. I'm not the person. So what
Okay.
I will say is what I did is I actually use the non-standard FDTD to analyze some of these structures basically.
Okay.
So here what you can see is this is a structural color. I guess, I mean, we know nowadays about this, that there are different ways of, generating color. So one of the way, I mean, if you look at the natural world, you will see, for example, here you see the morpho butterfly, right?
Okay.
And this, but it's not just morpho. For example, we have those peacocks, etc. The color actually comes from nanostructures, not from pigments. Normal, I mean, color comes from pigments, but here it's not. It's the nanostructures, and if you go into its scales, you will see that it has structures like this. Basically, this is the structure. Sorry, this is what I generated with computer generated basically. 1 second, my computer is out of power, so I need to connect it
Okay.
to
Okay. Please, please.
sorry. So
It's okay. Please. Yes.
yeah.
No.
So this is the situation. So okay, so we were talking about these structures. So what you can see is here. These are the structural color basically. So these kind of structures, you cannot really analyze without, I mean, having this kind of versatile numerical methods. You won't be able to really deal with this. So this is one of the, I mean, things that we were analyzing, etc. So then I will also show you a couple of other things that you can see. I mean, these are maybe not so great, but still there are, I mean, physically it's important. For example, you can see this is a photonic crystal basically, and how it is, you are actually sending the pulse through this photonic crystal, and you can see that actually it is confined in this bent waveguide basically. And so it's not really, I mean, loss is very small here. And so this was a very good, I mean, this was in 3D. In fact, this is a 3D photonic crystal, and it could do that, so we could show that. Then we do have this, for example, this is a ring resonator. Again, it is how it is coupling from this input port and through this and coming to the output port. So you need the resonance conditions, etc. Right? So, and here, this is another problem. As I said, that in Japan, I did see that the industry university collaboration was pretty good. So this was actually came from a company then, and they were dealing with, they wanted to know. So this is about LED. And then, one of the problems with the LED is the extraction, how you extract light, because, light is produced in a high index medium. So you need to take it out. So one of the way to do it is you have these small structures, nanostructures, microstructures on top of the surface, basically. So here it's showing that depending on the kind of structure, you can see how much light and how the light will go in some directions, or how it comes out, that you can control that, or it will have some effect on how you get the this is called extraction efficiency. So how the extraction efficiency is affected by the structure itself. So you can see that. So then, yeah. So I think there are some questions. Do you want to go into the questions, discussions, or what do you want to
Mm,
do?
yes, no. In the comment section, do you mean the question in the comment section?
Yes, yes, the comment section.
No.
We will
Yes, yes,
proceed
yes.
then.
Did you see any question? I mean, can you see the
I
comment?
think
No.
I think someone did something about AR, VR or something.
Yes, 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 yes. Let me. Yes. Uh, yes. It is about that Konik Palodhi. I mean, just the earlier discussion, what Madam
Mm.
has said, Geeta Bhuktani. AR and VR is coming a big way. We at
Yes,
University of
right.
Calcutta have very recently are trying to develop basic interactive labs so that we can get a sense of it. It seems that optics plus the CMOS driven by algo will, I mean, in this I cannot, we cannot show the total one. It is written there, coming a big way, and are trying to develop basic interactive labs so that we can get a sense of it. It seems that optics plus the CMOS driven by algo will provide imaging in the coming years. So it's a big
Yes,
comment. Yes.
it is. Yeah, it is definitely. I mean, this. I mean, I don't know exactly all the details, but yes, it looks like you are going in the right direction, most likely.
Yes. Thank you, Konik, for making this comment and giving an information insight about this future of AI, AR, VR, and optics. Thank you. Please
Mm.
continue.
Okay, so then, so yes, so this is something. Okay, so I mean, this is something that then, I mean, with that FDTD, as we were discussing, actually, one of the things that happens, if you look at the Maxwell's equations, there is this. There is this little thing. It's actually, if we go just to have a look, there is this little thing, this epsilon thing. Mu is more or less, I mean, because we don't deal with magnetic materials so much, so we don't have to worry too much about it. But this epsilon is a problem, actually. I mean, especially when we go dealing with metals, for example, it can be complex. So that adds some amount of complexity. And the normal, I mean, FDTD that works for dielectrics, that doesn't really work for metals. So here, I mean, there are, you have to do some techniques, special techniques to do it. So one of the method is called RCFDTD. So I actually did little bit. I mean,
RC,
this
RC is somebody's name or rain something? What is
no,
RC?
no, it is a recursive convolution
Okay.
FDTD.
Okay.
So this recursive convolution, there are a couple of other ways like ADE, FDTD, etc. you can do, but I use this recursive convolution, but I implemented it in a slightly different way from, I mean, what was already done. Then I also did it for wave equation, etc. So this is what I'm showing it with using my own version of RCFDTD, and what happens when you deal with these particles. So in fact, I mean, what happens is you see the scattering cross section. These are you can what you can do is you can calculate the scattering cross section, the extinction cross section, etc. And these are very important things in nanoplasmonics. And when you are trying to use the plasmonic peaks for some applications, basically. So what it is showing that, say, for example, if your particles are in this way or if your particles are this way compared to the incoming polarization state of the light, then you will see a very different picture in the peak of this scattering. I mean, this is the extinction cross section, basically. So the light that is removed from the incident light, that is extinction, that is the scattering or the absorption. That peak will actually, you can tune the peak basically by changing the gaps, by changing the orientation, etc. So that is what I mean. I calculated, and this is something I was trying to show. So basically, you can see that as they come closer, so your scattering pattern changes, that kind of thing. Now, the point is, again, when you are dealing with, for example, here you have one single particle and you can do it from mis-scattering very well because it is a closed solution that is given for this particular case. Great. But when you have two particles or more than one particle, there's nothing else. You have to do some numerical methods. And this is where scientific computing becomes very important, basically. So here, if you go to, I mean, I did some, I mean, what happens is these are actually industrial applications. That's what I'm trying to show here. So what happens is when you do, say, for example, you were trying to make composite materials. So you have these nanoparticles, you can disperse it into the material, and you will see that when they form aggregates or clusters, the behavior becomes very different from, so you cannot really explain the behavior. These are actually measured curves here. And then I did some calculations, and you can see that single particle calculation won't really explain what is happening here. So what you have to do is you have to take this coherent interaction between the particles when they come closer. So it will depend on how they interact and how they form these aggregates or clusters, etc. So basically, so these are the, I mean, these were things where FDTD or that kind of method can be very useful.
Okay.
So here I will show you one little thing. I mean, we are talking about AR, VR, etc., but I won't go into all the details because, but in any case, so this is one little thing. This is about the digital camera recording plane. So we used to have CCDs, but then nowadays this CMOS image sensor is a huge thing. And as we can see, I mean, the we have the resolution. As resolution increases and the pixel size becomes smaller and smaller, and then you do need to calculate the optical properties of these pixels and things like that. So that's where, I mean, FDTD is very useful. And this is also, again, I mean, these are industrial applications. And a couple of things I would like to point out. For example, you do use something called this Bayer array for RGB pixels because this is for color representation. You do use, this is a common, I mean, way of using the pixels. There are other ways of doing this too. But the interesting thing is it has, for example, a micro lens, it has some color filters, it has various layers basically. So what is, I mean, here, what is, sorry, where did it go? Vanish. So what we are seeing here is, without getting into too many details, so I mean, without the advent of all this computing and all these good, computation facilities, we won't be able to do this because this is in 3D and this is quite compute intensive, actually. And what it is showing that your green filter is passing this light while a red filter is cutting this. And this visualization is so important. And you can see where the light is going, because in this particular case, actually the crosstalk becomes a very important point. And so this is a very good way of understanding the crosstalk and how much is getting absorbed in the photodiode and things like that. So this is just an example I just wanted to show. That's so this is, I mean, about
So
the technical.
how much time did it take for this simulation of
The whole simulation, I don't exactly remember, but
this order
it
or something?
I don't exactly remember anymore. But these are quite. I mean, okay, I
Few
can.
hours or more?
Yeah, it depends on the size and complexity and all that. In case of some cases, for example, I can tell you, in some cases, if you can exploit the symmetry of the structure, then yes, maybe few hours you can get it. But then if you cannot have that symmetry, if it is all, I mean, full 3D, etc., you have to do, then it can take considerable amount of time.
Okay. So you need a good computational
Yeah,
resource.
facility, yes,
Yes.
computational facility.
Okay. Another comment Konik has written. No. James has written something. What two greens in bare pixel? Same green or
Yes,
different?
they're same grains. And the reason is, I think, I mean, this has something to do with the eye response, basically. So, because the response of eye is the most in green, so that is one of the reasons, that could be one of the reasons that why they have, I mean, more greens. But it also depends. It does depend on the particular design and the particular application, because there are certain applications where it's not quite this way. It can be a little bit different. The number of pixels in different colors change.
Okay. Please continue.
Okay, so this is, I think, I mean, do you want to go into, I think you had some.
No, it is. Yes, yes. It is some examples you have given that what uh, computations applications you have done using fdtd and for different particles, nanomaterials, and metal and other things. So, uh, okay, so we have got some feeling how intensive it is. So, in this place, have you been in see other things like Toastmasters activities and other things? Will you
Oh,
want to
yes,
tell about that?
yes. So let's look at this Toastmaster activity then. Can you see this one? No, it's not coming. Okay,
Okay, you
I
can.
stop share and do it
Yes,
again.
you can,
Well,
okay.
so this is the, can you see the
Yes,
screen?
yes, yes.
Yeah, okay. So maybe I don't know that it will go into this mode, but it will do something that is, see. So,
Okay.
yeah, so what
Yes,
I
yes,
was trying, I mean, this
yes.
is basically my hobby, etc. thing.
Okay.
So, but then the point is, initially, yeah, I did not understand the point about public speaking, but then it took some time, and then at some point of time, it became kind of a very interesting hobby, basically.
So
So,
you started in Japan.
yes, it started in Japan, actually.
So how many years ago?
Yeah, I joined, I think, in 2004 first,
Oh,
basically.
total four means 20 years.
Yeah, and then it's not like constant. It was I mean,
But
on and
however,
off.
you initiated 20 years
Yes,
ago.
yes, yes. So it is on again, off
So
again,
this
that
is
kind
some
of.
paid membership, Toastmasters.
Yes, it is. I mean, if you want to be a member, yes, you need to pay basically
Okay.
for the Toastmasters International. Yes, there is
So
I
you are
mean,
a member now?
at this moment, yes, I am a member.
Okay.
I'm
Great.
not a constant member, but sometimes
Okay.
I become
Yes. Yes.
member. So, okay, so the point is, I mean, I made these little, I mean, slides for fun. So, this is one little story. This is a little painting about this guy called Catiline, in fact.
Okay.
And this is this is from the Roman uh, history, basically. So Cicero made a speech, a historic speech, and Cicero is a great public speaker, and so he was a politician too. And that actually, because Catiline could not really defend himself, and then he was a noble guy, etc. So, but he actually he was punished because, I mean, Cicero was a great public speaker. So so the point is, public speaking can be a useful thing to have, to know how to present yourself is a good idea, basically, to master. So now, I mean, this is an interesting, very interesting picture. I thought that this is in Japan. I mean, in fact, the Japanese parliament. So if you make a bad speech, people can sleep. You make a bad presentation and people sleep. So you need to do something, I mean, more interesting than that. So that's where.
Yes. No, that's the interesting thing I remembered. Uh, Long ago, one student came from while after completing PhD in US. So he is now a professor in Tata Institute of Fundamental Research. So he was presenting something and people were not watching. So suddenly he showed some arbitrary images.
Hmm.
I mean, it was a deep research physics, but suddenly he showed some arbitrary images. Nobody complained. One slide, another slide. Then he made the comment, oh, I mean, it was full of his own teachers also, professors. So he was telling that, oh, so that means nobody is actually watching this. I showed some odd pictures on the beaches about fun things, and nobody actually took any notice. Okay, please continue.
Yes, so that's the point. So there is a technique where you do learn how to, speak, and how to. I mean, the thing that I let me go through it. Maybe that's the best way to do it. So this
Yes.
is actually the. I mean, you can add. I mean, this is one useful. I mean, very useful technique is to add some drama, to add some vocal variety, things like that. So there is something called stage fright. That is, you come to the stage, and I mean, in front of other people, speaking in front of other people is it takes a lot of courage sometimes. So the thing is, it is very, I mean, if you can master it, is good idea, I thought. So then, I mean, Toastmaster Club is a way to really practice this kind of thing. So another thing that you can do, you can see that, in fact, there are, there are pathways to, for example, if you like to take the contest, for example, there are speech contests that you can go for. And then, for example, I myself went through the club contest, then area contest, then the division contest, etc. And then you can go all the way to the district. So that can be Japan. I mean, this time it was in Ireland. So it can be any of that. And then finally you go to the Toastmaster International, and things become very professional, actually. So, but this is again this gives you an opportunity to really practice and your skills. So here, I mean, and then it's not just that, there are other tracks, like you can practice leadership skills, that you can become the officers, etc. So that's another thing that you can do.
Okay.
So these are different little things. And now myself, I mean, you can become this, I mean, competent communicator, various things. You can get some certificates from them. And these were originally, when we were in Tokyo. I mean, this was the Tokyo Club,
Mm,
and different
Please tell
points.
me.
I made speeches, etc. And then this was in Ehime. I was in Ehime, and then there was this club. They were opening this club, and then the first speech, in fact, they covered it on the television.
Oh, I see.
And my manager came back and said, "Oh, I saw you on the
Oh,
television." So something like that. So, and then of course, I mean, this year I again in Ireland I did this kind of thing. So this kind of, you can get these certificates, you can get this even trophy you could get. So things like that. So, and then finally, of course, all the great speakers were bad speakers to begin with. So it's something to be learned. One thing I really liked about it is you learn how to organize your thoughts, and you learn to know your audience, and accordingly talk about things. You basically plan what you are going to say. So that's a good practice.
okay. So that is a good thing. Means it gives back. I mean, practice about how to speak. So all professionals should take it. I mean, uh, especially the politicians. They are probably, are they members among the Toastmasters club?
I
Are there politicians there?
could be, I don't
Okay,
know.
okay, okay. So you also told something about your passion. I mean, say art, music, writing,
Well,
painting.
yeah, painting. That's one thing. Okay, I can show. I mean, I can show you. Yeah, a little bit. Well, this is one thing that I let me stop sharing, and I can show you. Share with you this
Yes.
one little thing. I think this the last page, and yeah,
Okay.
this one basically you can see. So
Okay.
this is something, I mean, I never thought that I'm capable of painting or drawing or any of this. However, I mean, last maybe I don't know, this is one skill that I picked up in Cork basically. And in I
This
mean,
is
I
I mean, a flower and abstract things, or they have given a.
this is,
I mean, they taught you to pick up the subject.
well, it is, I mean, it's taught you means, the thing is, I just felt that I need to do some painting, whatever, I don't
Is
know.
it self-learned? I mean, have you got your learning of
Well,
painting yourself, or you have taken some
I
assistance of
do take
painter
courses, and then
courses?
I went into course. So this is with a art instructor here. I mean, he's an artist himself, and what he does, he's a portrait artist basically.
Okay.
So I actually I was drawing, I was doing the, line drawing and various things like that. So then I went to his class, etc. I learned about oil painting basically, because that's his specialization area, his expertise area. So these are the two little. I mean, there are other examples, but these are the two things that I wanted to show. Actually,
Okay.
the one, I mean, I can show you the actual, I mean, painting. This is just the picture. And so here, the right hand side, this is based on a Japanese flower, actually.
Oh,
And the left hand side, this one is based, there is I mean, a work by Van Gogh, and it is called Irises. So
okay.
these are wildflowers, that comes in summer, basically, these blue flowers. But what I did is I did not just do that, but I added this colored leaves, etc., which is a little bit, I mean, okay, in summer too you do little bit see that, but it became a little bit more more, I mean, imaginative basically. So something like this. So these kind of things I start, I mean, I picked up the skill here basically. And because I come from optics and I mean display, etc., so you can see the color concept of color is very different in this kind of artistic thing and the displays, etc.
Okay. So these things also you put it for say competition or some exhibition?
No, I did not have a chance to go for any exhibition or competition, none
Okay,
of
okay,
this
okay, okay.
yet. So
Okay.
I don't know.
Okay. Anyway, how many paintings you probably completed till date?
I
And what is the size of this oil painting? Means what is?
I can show you, one second please. Actual
Okay.
painting, I mean, I can show you. These
Okay.
are small, actually these are not all that big.
Okay.
Just please hold on.
Okay.
If you can see this one,
Yes. 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 So
this is
yes.
basically
Yes.
the
Yes.
original, I mean, actual thing. And the other one is, I mean, I enjoyed doing this very much, this one. And this other one is also similar size. It's not because it takes so long to, I mean, do this. So
And what is the base? I mean canvas.
yes, this is canvas,
Okay.
oil
Great.
on canvas, basically.
Okay. 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 Great. So how many you completed this type of oil paintings?
How many I did?
And which
I
are
don't.
with frames?
What do you say? Sorry.
I mean, which are framed? I mean, you might have done many things, but which are already framed like these? How many you had?
These kind I have. I don't know. Maybe I don't know. Maybe 5 or 6 or something. I don't know.
Okay, okay. So that is a great thing. Means color and other things like when you simulate and get the physical optics and colors and show that how a butterfly wings are having colors, and now it is directly painting and putting color. So have you tried any butterfly? No. Painting butterflies?
No, I am more. I
Flower.
don't know. My calling is more these flowers and the trees, and I like the curves, basically the shapes, and I find the trees and that kind of things very attractive. So I like to draw that kind of thing, and it's more like, I mean, I was, for example, recently the work that I was doing is, in the spring I saw these little cherry blossoms, and there are these two cherry blossoms, and then the new leaves are coming out. I wanted to do, I mean, extract from that picture. I wanted to do a new beginning, basically, that, I mean, spring blossoms coming out, or the leaves coming out. So I like that kind of, I mean, motive, or that kind of, I mean, symbolism, basically. And I like more stylized, based on nature. That's my, I mean, I don't quite like the animals. I don't
Oh, I
do
see. Yes.
I don't do
Plants
portrait
are
or
plants are
animals.
good objects for painting. Yes. So that is quite impressive. And I'm looking at one comment. Somebody, probably a youngster, asked about this. Madam, what is your current area of research?
Yes, I am working in AR, VR, and micro LEDs, but I don't want to get too much into that
Okay, okay.
for
So
obvious reasons.
okay,
So,
okay, 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 okay. And so finally, so what is your advice to the student community who might plunge for research in optics and photonics, or who will come to higher education in optics and photonics?
I mean, couple of things. I think, as we were discussing, actually, I think that the opportunities for optics and photonics is actually increasing, and it is, I mean, widening in various, I mean, industries, and not even I mean, so that is, I mean, I personally think that not even traditional companies, they are also interested in optics and trying to understand the potential of optics, basically. So I think that's where it can grow, and there is a potential of this industry to grow. And I personally, since I do in this scientific computation, etc., I would say that especially scientific computation, there is a lot of need for that, because think about it, you cannot manufacture everything because manufacturing is very costly. And this is where I think someone is saying that, what do you think about Calcutta or West Bengal becoming optics industry hub? Actually, I think there used to be some amount of glass polishing, etc., glass related, some work there in Kolkata, basically. But then, I mean, in fact, this kind of simulation or this kind of scientific computing, etc., that is easier to do than just pure, I mean, manufacturing, because manufacturing is costly. You need a lot of, I mean, maybe resources. But before you go into manufacturing, you can do a lot of simulations or modeling and things like that. So I do see an opportunity for this kind of things, basically. So yeah, I think. And another thing I would suggest, that AI or not or whatever happens, but there is no alternative in learning the basic sciences or basic physics, because based on that, you are really going to do, come up with your answers. So I think, yes. So if you are an applied physicist and you think that you know how to apply your knowledge to solve a real life problem, I see an opportunity there for you. I would
That
say
is
that.
great. That is no way out other than learning. Learning is the basic things, and science, basic science is very important, and more mathematics. Means whatever you are doing, the power is probably your mathematical, the ability to apply physics and real world in terms of mathematics.
Yes, I mean, I'm no mathematical genius. I cannot claim that, but I think engineering mathematics for the purposes of applications,
Applied mathematics, yes.
yeah, some, at least, I mean, it doesn't have to be. There are many gradations of, I mean, what you do. There are people like James, I mean, who knows all about mathematics and they are very good at algorithm development. But and there are people like me who are not all that great in mathematics, but I know how to apply it for a problem, which is another, I mean, domain, actually. So you have to, so there are different grades, I mean, depending on which one you like to do and which one you want to go for. I think there is a scope for developing your expertise, basically.
Okay. Yes, there is another asking question by Konek Palodhi. Have you seen this?
Yeah, this will be very nice if you can do something. I mean, if you really, you are there. In fact, I would be very interested in being part of that. If you can, if you think that you can develop something there. I would definitely be willing to collaborate and work with you
Yes,
because that would be a very
this
interesting thing.
yes, yes, and I always remember that Professor Manoranjan De, who uh, started that optics, making optics and other things in the 1950, late 1950s. I mean, then the other countries who are now very big were not into optics manufacturing, but we could have been the very expert with that, but unfortunately that factory stopped. So anyway, so finally, any message you wish to give to the members of the Optical Society of India? Because I mentioned that I wanted to make one comment, at least say I am also a member of the Optical Society of India, you are also a member of the Optical Society of India, so we are speaking. So OSI members speak. So any comment and message for the members of the Optical Society of India?
Yeah, I think we need to. One thing I think maybe I hope, I'm not sure because I mean, I left India in 2001, so it's a long time that I'm not there. So at our time, there were certain opportunities, and unfortunately, the optics opportunities were not all that great in India at that time, because I do remember in my I mean, batch, for example, a lot of people actually went into software and that kind of industry because optics really did not provide much opportunity at that time. So I hope that nowadays things are changing, things are becoming a little bit different. And I, for example, I saw a couple of students or new graduates or something. They came to me and they wanted to pitch their idea, and saying that if they can start some business. So I think this is, it's important really, and the more it happens, the more opportunities will be created. And also, I don't know how government, whether they are stepping up or not. For example, OSI can try to get involved in the government policy making and try to step up and support, say, small business says, or small startups, or students might come up with ideas, or even teaching, or having some little bit of innovation schools or things like that. I think that will be very interesting and very good to do. For
That
example, I
is a
know.
yes, yes. That is a great comment. That we have to incorporate entrepreneurship, and how whatever way it is pronounced. I call it entrepreneurship. Or somebody call it entrepreneurship. Okay, so that has to come in the schools. Means I checked and I found that in say US, Canada, that they have some short business classes or entrepreneurship starting from their middle school, and in high school they have that there, and in our case in colleges also it is not that way uh, taught, and in top schools also, top institutes here, it is very sad that I have seen uh, department they have formed a department of entrepreneurship and other things, and it is headed by somebody who never had any entrepreneurship experience. Lifetime he worked in companies, and he is actually heading that uh, the school of entrepreneurship. So and I also know some people who from their very beginning of their after completing their bachelor degree btech, they are into entrepreneurship, but they are trying to teach it, but they are not getting any entry into the institutes where they passed out. And it is very sad. And entrepreneurship in India, it is like people think that it is all air conditioned room and you have to have lectures and other things, but there has to be some hands on demonstration, visit to factories and see in the real world how entrepreneurship happens, but that it is not there. So anyway, I am so happy that you agreed to uh, be a part of this talking, and whoever has joined, Konik has given a final thank you. Thanks so much, and thank you so much also, Konik, for joining, because in LinkedIn, I'm so happy to see you, and we'll do it better. And how can I thank you? I mean, I don't have any words to thank you because you have agreed. You must be, your time is very costly, I think, because you, whatever computation you do, all are applied to industry applications. So um, it is my means. I am so grateful that you have agreed, and we will have some other interaction and try to find out something if we can do in the future. So
Thank you very much. It's
thank
an
you.
honor to talk to you.
It is not honor, but it is something like it is a sharing the experience to others. So these episodes are live streamed, so it is being automatically recorded on LinkedIn and YouTube. People can watch this using the same link. And I also wish that the students, researchers, academicians in India, whoever is interested for optics and photonics, they should come forward, join, connect with the fellow people, young and old. And I will recommend the people, optics and photonics interested people in India and other countries. So they should also join hands and connect and engage. And so thank you so much. We'll end the live stream.